From the heartland of America, focused on God, family, and country, the mouthpiece of the Midwest. This is Dale Carter's America.
We are back with another exciting episode of Dale Carter's America with all kinds of things going on, both locally in the Kansas City area as well as nationally. Kurt needs to cut back to 1 pack of cigarettes a day, perhaps, on that, I guess. So we thank Bob Watson for being one of our major sponsors on the podcast. We cannot do this without wonderful folks like Bob, who think the way that we think and want to get the word out, and that's what the podcast is all about. Bob Watson has been my State Farm agent for 31 years. He could be your State Farm agent as well. He's at 7th and Main in Blue Springs, 816-229-7878. Auto, home, life, commercial insurance, boats. He's licensed in both Missouri and Kansas. Bundle your home and car insurance and save even more. Give him a chance for your business. He's been a State Farm agent for over 50 years.
I'd say congratulations.
He's the gold standard in the Kansas City area, and you know that State Farm is an awesome brand when it comes to insurance. So we ask you to help us spread the word on the podcast. When you listen to it, this is how I started with Rush Limbaugh, and I think a lot of people started with Rush because he was on small AM stations, and it's like, have you heard this guy? Have you heard what this guy's doing? So, if you watch or listen to the podcast, consume it however you do, and if you think we're doing a good job, spread the word. Give us a review, stars or whatever. How do they do that?
Drop a subscribe on YouTube or Rumble for the video podcast. Drop a thumbs up. That really helps us out a lot, and a comment as well. All those things help us with the algorithm, so we really appreciate it. Make sure that you are subscribed and following us for the audio-only version on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, and then follow us on Facebook as well.
It's growing, and it's going to be helpful, especially going into a big election year. Filing for Missouri August/November elections closed on Wednesday. Good news for me, no primary.
Nice.
So I'm feeling pretty good.
Congratulations.
I will face a very liberal Democrat named Antoine Jennings in the fall for the District 5 seat.
You're not a nice person.
I've never met the guy. I don't know. He may be a prince of a man, but
He's probably very sweet, yeah.
I've read his views on some things, and I think we would have a lot to disagree on, and I look forward to having that conversation down the road. The bigger story than me and what I'm doing is Phil Lavoda. And it ties nicely to what we were talking about last time about tribalism. Remember I told you that when I was younger, I remember voting for Democrats because they were in office, they were doing a good job. Local is not the same as national, although sometimes in national you can make that exception too, even if you're very conservative. I remember I voted for the mayor of my city, a guy named Mike Vanderveer, and he was a Democrat, but I was a very young news reporter at the time. I was 16 years old, and I was the morning news anchor and city hall reporter for my radio station. So I got baptized very early, and Mike Vanderveer was always nice to me, answered all of my questions, and we had a good relationship. He was a great mayor, and so I voted for him again. I voted for Frank McCloskey, who was our congressman, who was a Democrat. Frank and I worked together on the first Gulf War. Right, we did some things on the radio station where we recorded shows around Christmas, and it was played on Armed Forces Radio over in the Middle East as something from home for the troops. Frank was a great guy. He wasn't one of these loony left Democrats that they're throwing at us now. So that gets me to Phil Lavoda. All right, Phil Lavoda, when he was appointed the interim Jackson County executive, he told the legislature at that time, I have no interest in this job past the interim period. Filling out Frank's term, trying to fix whatever's broken around here. And he changed his mind. And quite frankly, there were people like me in his ear saying, Phil, you are doing a tremendous job here. We cannot go backward. And he heard that, and he filed at the very last minute. And there are a bunch of people who filed for that job. I think there's 7 Democrats and 1 Republican.
Wow.
A guy from Lee Summit who I don't know. So Phil was going to come on the podcast today to record with us, but he had other obligations. He does want to come back down the road. And, Phil was a guy that we tapped to talk about issues on the other side that we don't particularly agree with, but he's a guy that you can have a conversation with, right?
Yeah. And with local politics too, I mean, it's a lot of that stuff. He's not going to be legislating the war in Iran, for example,
No.
from, the Jackson County executive seat. So
No, but he is a Democrat. He ran the Jackson County Democrat Committee for a while. So I would think that there would be things down the road that we would disagree on. But man, at this point, he's doing a fantastic job getting this county back on track after all of the mistakes that were made in the past. So he could not be here on the podcast. He did put this video out, and I thought we should play it.
I'm Jackson County Executive Phil Lavoda. This afternoon, I filed to run for the full term of Jackson County Executive for the election in August and November of this year. When I was appointed by the legislature in October of 2025, I voiced my concerns that I did not want to run for the full term, and I only wanted to serve the remainder of the former county executive's position. That was in September. My goal was to get in, roll up my sleeves, put my nose down, and get to work for the people of Jackson County. I wanted then to right the ship and then be able to hand it off to someone who could keep the positivity and the restoring confidence in government going. As I reviewed the candidates in the last month and have listened to the collective voice of the community, I've decided it is important for me to let the voters choose who will be their next county executive, with me being one of the candidates. As of filing time closing today, there are many candidates that Jackson County residents will be able to choose from in August and November, and I will be one of them. This is about democracy. This is about the people having a choice, and I think that's important. I am humbled by the thousands of people that have urged me to reconsider and throw my hat in the ring, and I think it's important to keep the stability in county government, to bring leadership, to bring my experience of what I've done in the last 5 months to the next term. I wanted to make sure I reached out to everyone and explained where my thinking was on this. And to quote one person I talked to last week, he said, I had my first kid and I swore to God I'd never have a kid, and I have 4 kids now. Things change, opinions evolve, and what I didn't know back in September, I know now. And I know we're making progress in Jackson County, and I hope to continue to do that. So I am a candidate for Jackson County Executive this fall. Thank you.
Yeah, good guy. And again, has been a guest on this podcast. I have no financial connection to Phil Lavoda. I just like him, and I think he's a reasonable guy, and he's done a great job since Frank White was recalled, and as he said, restoring confidence in government down there. I have advice for Republicans, and I know that we have a lot of Republican fans who follow us and all that. I don't think any Republicans had a primary challenge. The Republican Party did a pretty good job of clearing the deck and making sure that we didn't waste a lot of money in August, that we could save our powder for November. There is a Republican running for Jackson County Executive. I don't know him. I guess I'm going to have to do some research on that. But for my money, Phil Lavoda is doing a great job. And so Republicans with no races to vote on in August, my advice to you is pull a Democrat ballot when you go in there and help Phil. When you've got so many running, the incumbent's going to have an advantage anyway. And the fact that he's done all these things, I think a lot of Democrats are going to vote for him. But if Republicans can come in with nothing to vote on our ballot, we can help tip that balance as well. This is not a red-blue thing. I've said this in speeches I've made. This is not a red-blue issue in Jackson County. It's a green issue. It's a tax dollar issue. It's where is our money going from Eastern Jackson County? I think it's going to the city, and we need to get that accounted for. We need to have transparency, and I'm going to fight for that. I'm going to fight for an audit. I want to know where the $500 million budget is going. I think I know, but I want to get an audit done from an outside auditor. So there are a lot of things, the assessment issue, we got to get our arms around that. So I think Phil will do a good job. And I think the legislature is going to turn over quite a bit because several people aren't running again, and there are several seats on there that are vulnerable. So I think it's going to be a good time moving forward, but that's my advice to Republicans.
The guy's name is Alan Rolfing.
Yeah, I saw that, and he's a Lee's Summit guy. I just don't know him. So Reardon is the mayor of Lee's Summit right now, and he's already attacking Phil. And Phil put out a post today. It's like, this is the ugly side of politics. I knew this was coming. And, here's a guy who never met a tax increase he didn't like. Well, we don't want tax increases in Jackson County. I want to go the other way. I mean, we're spending so much more money for what? What is the responsibility of the county, and what in the world could you be spending the money on? There are people in the unincorporated areas of the county who want their roads fixed, and we can't get that done. So there's going to be a lot of things we're going to talk about in this campaign moving forward. Another interesting development, Sam Graves retired, 6th District Congressman for a long time in Missouri, and he turned around and endorsed my friend Chris Stegall. So Chris, you probably know of Chris, right? Talk show host and all that.
We played him last week.
Yeah. So Chris is going to run. Sam Graves has endorsed him, so that looks good. Mayor Q kicked the tires on running for the 4th District seat against Mark Alford. He decided, maybe he looked at polling numbers and it doesn't look too good for Mayor Q, so he's going to keep his powder dry, and then he blamed Republicans for redistricting. It made Alford's seat more vulnerable to a Democrat, but Mayor Q doesn't have the sack to go in there and run against him, but he can criticize Republicans.
Is he about to be termed out or something?
Yeah, next year. So he'll be termed out, and I guess he's going to hope that there's a Democrat.
He'll be a regular CNN contributor or something.
Or MSNBC.
Yeah.
I think what he's going to hope for is that a Democrat's going to win next time the White House, and they'll find a place for Mayor Q in the administration. A plug for me, you can help me. We're in the fundraising portion of the campaign. I want to go in with a big number because I don't know what Antoine Jennings is going to have. And I want to make sure that we get our message out about transparency and lower taxes and the assessment issue and public safety and getting the roads fixed. Those are key things that we want to talk about in the campaign, and it takes money to do that. My website is dalecarter.us. We would love to have you on board as a contributor, and I thank you for considering that. Max Motors is a contributor to this podcast. Mark Muller is going to be a guest before long. Mark is a character. Do you know Mark? Have you dealt with him at all?
Maybe met him once, but I don't know.
He is a character. You know Max Motors, they're famous for the twin shooters and all that. Max Motors believes in small-town American values, God, family, and country. And because they have low overhead, because they're out in the hinterlands, they're in Richmond, Clinton, Butler, and Nevada. They've got small-town, low-overhead Missouri dealerships that beat the big city every time. And Mark promotes himself as the Amazon of car dealers. If you can't come to them, they'll bring the car to you. Pick out the car you want at maxmotors.com, and they'll drive it right to your front door and do the deal at your place instead of theirs. Easiest place you will ever buy your next car. And Mark says if you don't buy from us, at least buy American. He feels very strongly about that. And when you buy that new car, you got to take care of it. And that's where my friend Tim Porter at Christian Brothers Automotive comes in. Find the closest location to you at christianbrothersauto.com. Tim, each location's independently owned and operated. Tim owns the one in Independence, and they are open for your business there. They work on everything: Ford, Lincoln, Mercury, all GMs, Chrysler, Ram, Jeep, Honda, Acura. The list goes on and on and on. They work on hybrids, electric vehicles, and any repair they make on your car is going to be good for 3 years or 36,000 miles, whichever benefits you the most. They've got a complimentary courtesy shuttle. They'll pick you up. They'll drop off your vehicle. They'll handle it all, and they'll walk you through whatever they do to your car, holding your hand the entire way, especially if you're like me and you don't know a lot about cars. 816-795-6811. That's the phone number for the Independence location, where I know my buddy Tim Porter is going to take care of you. Get that first oil change, get the tires rotated, all the maintenance things that you need to do to keep your car longer. And when it breaks down, because cars always do, they're the people that you can trust. Do you trust what's going on in Iran? You know, the further we get down the road on this, the closer I'm coming to your side on this, Kurt. Mm-hmm. It's funny how we evolve in this podcast, right? It's like, first of all,
I would tell you I would have seen that coming, but I want to brag.
Yeah, I mean, by and large, and I would still vote for Donald Trump today over Kamala Harris. Are you kidding me? Not even close. But when he comes on TV now, I can't watch. I didn't watch the speech last night because I knew exactly what it was going to be. It's his list of grievances. He's always exaggerating everything that he does, which, even I know that a lot of the stuff that he's saying is not true.
Here's a clip. I didn't watch it either, but
Made clear from the beginning of Operation Epic Fury that we will continue until our objectives are fully achieved. Thanks to the progress we've made, I can say tonight that we are on track to complete all of America's military objectives shortly, very shortly. We're going to hit them extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to bring them back to the Stone Ages where they belong. In the meantime, discussions are ongoing. Regime change was not our goal. We never said regime change, but regime change has occurred because of all of their original leaders' death. They're all dead.
I can only take so much.
I'm the same way. Just come out and give us the facts. One of the things the liberals say is he said no more wars. He said no more wars. That's not exactly true. If you go back to what he was saying, there was another word that they leave out: no more forever wars. And this one hasn't gone very long. And if we get out of it and we get the objectives that we want, it's going to be positive down the road. But the further we get into this thing, he keeps saying that they're decimated. They're not doing anything. The Iranians say, we're not talking to you guys. He says they are. He says they're decimated. They're firing missiles as we do the podcast into places like Israel and the UAE. They're not lying, right? Israel would not lie about
too.
it.
Have you seen some of those videos of the American bases? There's crazy videos out there.
So
crazy videos.
They're still doing these things. And we're sending another carrier battle group over that just left for Norfolk, the George H.W. Bush carrier group. And it's going to be a few weeks before they're there. Mm-hmm. So if we're close to wrapping this thing up, why are we sending another carrier group?
Yep. Here's Trump on the campaign trail, by the way, 2024.
I'm proud to be the only president in decades who did not start a new war. Everyone said, oh, he's going to start a new war. I'm proud to...
Yeah. So what does victory look like in this thing? Have they identified leadership? He just says, well, we keep killing them. We're going to bomb them back to the Stone Age, but hey, we're still negotiating.
Well, it's like, what is the goal? He said we're accomplishing, in that clip that I played from the speech last night, he said we're accomplishing all of our goals. Well, what are the goals? Because in there, he said, the part that I kind of chuckled at, he said, well, we said it's not a regime change war, but that's what you're doing now. So what's the goal? Well, they killed the guy, the Ayatollah guy, and they just replaced him with another, I think his son or something like that. I mean, I don't see it.
What I told you initially when we talked about this was my hope was there were really smart people in the Situation Room who had identified smart people in Iran who wanted to join the world, right, and not be this 5th century terrorist regime that, killing Americans. They'd killed over 1,000 Americans at that point since 1979. I don't forget things like that. I don't forget the act of war that they started when they stormed our embassy. I thought that they had smart people who looked at Afghanistan and Iraq and said, we don't want to do that again. We're going to do it smarter. We're going to do it better. I'm not seeing evidence of that.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that they're making it worse.
And I mean, the people who were critical of it, like Joe Kent, were pushed to the side. People like Thomas Massie in Congress, who are not, he's not a member of the administration, but he's been getting attacked from every angle from the president, including, by wanting to know, like, hey, what's going on here? Anyone who's critical of the war or critical of the partnership with Israel in the war or on the global scale is removed or,
silenced in some way.
Yeah.
Well, if this is, it's been going on since 1979. Every president from Ronald Reagan to Donald Trump said, Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. Okay. So let's make sure they don't have a nuclear weapon. Every president since Ronald Reagan has basically called them a terrorist state, and they're causing all kinds of problems in the region. Finally, Trump goes over there, he's going to do something about it. I just want them to know what they're doing. And the longer this goes on, and every time I see them speak, I just feel like they don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like everything else. They killed the Ayatollah, and they were like, well, we just need the people to rise up and replace their government. You know, like that, you can't just count on that happening.
That's
you know
what we said in Iraq.
Yeah.
We killed Saddam Hussein. We're waiting for people to rise up.
Yeah.
And what we did was we created like a sectarian war. And now we've got a green zone in the middle where we have troops taking fire a lot.
Yeah. And typically when that happens, I mean, you get a more radical section or you know, more radically Muslim people that replace them. Because it's like, imagine what would happen if it was you, like, America bombs your country and then like, oh, well, let's just install a pro-America government now because they bombed us. Like, that's not how it works. And on top of that, strategically, now Iran has the upper hand because they control the Strait. They control 20% of, or whatever it is, of the global natural gas and oil flow. So, which they didn't before. So it's only working out in their benefit so far.
I will say this, you know, I got no love for NATO now. I mean, they're not helping us. They're like, hey, that's not our problem. It is their problem in the sense that missiles from Iran can hit London. Mm-hmm. So it is their problem a little bit. And it certainly wasn't our problem in World War II when France was invaded by Germany, you know, and London was bombed. That wasn't our problem. That's your problem. So down the road, when the Russians take a shot at you, that's not our problem. That's your problem.
Right. But in this case, America was the aggressor. America and Israel were the aggressors. Like they didn't attack America. We attacked them. So it's like, and now
I disagree.
And
I completely disagree. You're wrong on that. Let me stop you. You're wrong. Because Iran attacked us in 1979. They've killed 1,000 Americans since then. They blew up our barracks in Beirut. They are the aggressor.
So we're taking it back to 1979?
Why the hell wouldn't we?
Are you going to do that for every other country?
There's a state of war with Iran.
I mean, but are you going to do that for are you going to take every other country's aggression back to 1979 to determine who we should be at war at?
Give me an example of one where they started a war with us that is still ongoing that has not been resolved.
Well, if you're talking about aggression,
I'm talking about an act of war. When you invade somebody's embassy, you have committed an act of war.
Well, there's other countries that have bombed American bases. There's countries that have attacked American ships. So, like, are we going to take every single one of them and then use that as justification for a regime change war in that country now?
I'm not going to cry for the Ayatollahs. I'll put it that way. But I just hope they get their shit together and figure out what's going on. So I can't watch Trump anymore. You can't watch Trump anymore. Let's watch Rubio. There's a 2-minute video where he makes the case for what we're doing.
All right.
Many Americans are asking, why did the United States have to attack Iran now? Well, let me explain. Iran wants to have nuclear weapons. Of that, there is zero doubt. If what they truly wanted, which is what they claim, is nuclear energy, well, they could have nuclear energy like all the other countries in the world have it. And that is, you import the fuel and you build reactors above ground. That's not what Iran has done. They build their reactors and their facilities deep in mountains, away from the public glare. And they want to enrich that material. The same equipment that they could use to enrich material for energy, they could use to quickly enrich it to weapons grade. So it is clear that they've been offered every opportunity to have a nuclear program that allows them to have energy, not weapons. And every single time they have turned it down. But why the attack now? Well, what was Iran trying to do? Iran was trying to build a conventional shield, in essence, have so many missiles, have so many drones that no one could attack them, and they were well on their way. We were on the verge of an Iran that had so many missiles and so many drones that no one could do anything about their nuclear weapons program in the future. That was an intolerable risk. Under no circumstances can a country run by radical Shia clerics with an apocalyptic vision of the future ever possess nuclear weapons. And under no circumstances can they be allowed to hide and protect that program and their ambitions behind a shield of missiles and drones that no one can do anything about. This was our last best chance to eliminate that conventional threat, that conventional shield that they were trying to build. And the president made the right decision to wipe it out now. That is the goal of this operation, to destroy their conventional missiles and their drone program so they can't hide behind it and finally have to deal with the world seriously about never, ever having nuclear weapons.
All right. There you go. Cogent argument in 2 minutes and not a long list of, grievances. I was talking to somebody on the way here. Donald Trump reminds me of the Seinfeld episode Festivus for the Rest of Us, because every speech he makes has a list of grievances.
Yeah.
He does. So we'll see where it goes from here. I can handle Marco Rubio a lot more than I can handle Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, he's still very wrong, but
in your opinion.
Yeah,
I think you're wrong, because I don't want a bunch of crazy people in Iran to have nuclear weapons.
But again,
they'll use them, Kurt. They will use them.
Yeah, but it gets back to what is the goal of this current campaign, because they told us last year that they completely decimated their nuclear program.
And then Iran started working on it again.
They told us that it was completely decimated, that they wouldn't be able to build it up for years and years, that they destroyed their whole weapons program, their whole nuclear weapons program.
All right. Let's move on, because there's, you mentioned the Strait of Hormuz, which, the Iranians say they're going to basically take over. And if they do that, we've gone backward here instead of forward, which hopefully won't happen. But maybe something funny can come out of this. I hope so. As we talk about the Straits of Hormuz.
Isn't it a little bit homophobic that we're so focused on the Straits of Hormuz and not the gays of Hormuz?
Yes, I agree. Yes, for sure.
Why do you think they're willing to leave the gays of Hormuz behind?
I think it's just historically, gays have always been very discriminated against, which is wrong on so many levels.
Even in war.
Yeah, even in war. It just takes more reform in government, obviously, and then also educating society.
I just feel like if we're going to go in there, we can't leave the gay people behind.
Right,
I don't think we should go in there at all, but if we're going to, the gays of Hormuz, we could turn it into Fire Island.
For sure.
The guy's accent makes it even funnier.
Exactly. Little German accent going
and
on
with some of those too, it's like, because I saw this a couple days ago or whatever, and you always have to make sure now that it's like, is it AI? Is it fake? And I don't think
Did
it
it
is.
look fake?
I think it's real.
Right.
I think it's real, but it's like, man, you never know these days. But I do think that is real. That's very funny.
All right. So we end on a funny note there. Clay Como shooters, it would be a bad day for you if somebody broke into your house and, you're calling 911, especially in Kansas City, and they put you on hold for an average of 20 seconds. Hold, please. Somebody's in your house with a gun. That's a bad day for you unless you can defend yourself. And that's where Clay Como shooters comes in. They're on 69 Highway in Clay Como, right between I-35 and I-435 over by Worlds of Fun. You can reach them on the phone at 816-452-4867. But hey, why call? Just go in. They're awesome people, full-service firearms dealer. They buy guns. They've got experienced trainers with law enforcement background. They've got an indoor shooting range, affordable pricing. They're not a big box store, neighborhood business, just looking out for the community. Fantastic folks there. They've worked with my wife on what she wants to defend herself, because I travel and she's there by herself. She wants to be able to defend herself. And being a Cass County redneck, she selected a 12-gauge shotgun. So there you go. Protect yourself and your family. Find the right firearm. And most importantly, get trained on it with our friends at Clay Como Shooters. Now, as you're approaching 65, as I am, few years out for me, but I'm certainly thinking about it. Medicare is approaching rapidly. Maybe it's approaching faster for you. Maybe if you're one of our younger listeners, you've got a parent who's going to be dealing with Medicare. Because it comes from our federal government, it's very simple, right? It's not. You need a guy like Kirk Doris who can simplify it for you. Thus, the name of the company, Medicare Simplified KC. MedicareSimplifiedKC.com. You can reach Kirk Doris at 816-701-6661. He has years and decades of experience navigating these complicated waters, especially when, Congress gets in there and monkeys around with it. We've got the new Big Beautiful Law that was the Big Beautiful Bill. Well, that changed a lot of stuff for Medicare, too. You need an expert like Kirk Doris on your side, and he's ready to help you. Again, the number is 816-701-6661. And if you can't come to him, he'll come to you. Set up an appointment for you.
Tremendous people.
So the No Kings rally, I wanted to go back and poke a little fun at that. A guy named Stan Price put out this thing, and I'm not going to read the whole thing because that would be kind of boring. But he talked about No Kings and these people who had the No Kings rallies and had the No had all the signs and all that. And he makes several points here that I think are really good. Term limits. We have them for the presidency. We don't have them for Congress, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you want to enforce the border, you're a racist. You want to know who's voting in your elections with ID, which, is an 80-20 issue. Even in the black community, even in the Hispanic community. It's an 80-20 issue. Democrats are out there calling you Jim Crow, right? Being patriotic is fascism to the modern left. Every other country has borders and enforces them. 176 countries require ID to vote. That is the definition of a country, yet Democrats are demagoguing these things like crazy. Congress has a 15% approval rating. 80% of Americans, 8 out of 10, disapprove of Congress, yet 97% of incumbents got reelected. You worry about Trump and you want to call him a king? How long has Donald Trump been in government? I can tell you, 5 years and 3 months. He won the popular vote and the electoral vote. Let me give you some names here. Chuck Schumer. He's been in Congress for 46 years.
Jeez.
Longer than Stalin. Steny Hoyer, 45 years, longer than Mao. Mitch McConnell, a Republican, 42 years, 5 times longer than Napoleon. Nancy Pelosi, 39 years, longer than Henry VIII was king of England. Maxine Waters, 35 years. Bernie Sanders, 35 years. All right? That's your Congress.
Yeah.
And they'll never vote for term limits. That would have to be a constitutional amendment, and Congress will never limit themselves. So there you go. Look up this guy, though, Stan Price. I mean, he goes through a lot of these things, and I think he's right on it, right? And then I've got some videos that'll show you exactly who some of these people are, okay? I don't know who this guy is, but I thought his take was spot on. So let's play this video first.
So are you accidentally stupid, or are you stupid on purpose? Because the only reason you would go to a No Kings protest is if you were stupid enough to believe that America had kings, not realizing that your very participation in this event that is not being shut down by the one person who you claim is a king invalidates the entirety of your argument. See, this is all these people know how to do anymore. All y'all want to do is go out and be part of some protest, right? It doesn't accomplish anything? No, it never does. It makes you feel good for a few hours. Y'all rally around, oh, this is going to be the biggest uprising. What are you going to do? Nothing. You don't have any demands because No Kings is already a thing, right? It's called Independence Day. We have one of those already. Oh, you don't celebrate that either, do you? Yep, that tracks. That sounds about right. So anybody who's going out there to be part of this No Kings protest, just know all you're really doing at the end of the day is playing yourself and showing your ignorance. So go ahead, be a part of this No Kings protest if you want to. It's a free country. You can do what you want, but don't be surprised if people are laughing at you for it.
Yeah. I saw one video, and that's not included in this package here. Somebody asked, why aren't there any black people at the No Kings rally? It's like, well, it's not safe for them to be here. We're here protecting their rights. Yeah.
It's funny how, yeah, that's the typical white liberal.
Yeah, that's all this was, is white liberal, Karens out there in the world.
Why are there no black people here?
Because we're protecting them. It's not safe for them to be out. Seriously. Okay, so let's meet some of the folks who attended. Here's the first one.
So we're here at the preview of the No Kings protest in the overpass in Los Angeles. And I tell you, we are getting so many honking. But you know what? Especially from truck drivers, that cost of gas, that's way expensive, isn't it? Bless you all. No kings, no crowns, no thorns. And MAGA, we believe in America first as well. Why doesn't Trump? Take care.
Yeah. There's one. And then we got the Native Americans.
That should be good. Sorry, it just takes a second.
Yeah.
The No Kings protest in Oswego.
I think there's several reasons. There's too many to list at this point. I feel like if we're not out here, then there's just a lack of awareness of everything that's going on right now, honestly. I work in nonprofit too, so I'm seeing the effects of it on our marginalized communities. And that's the part that really just, when you see it and you're in it, you just got to do something about it, even if it means just standing out here and being a number.
What do you want people to think when they drive by and see all these people out protesting for no kings today?
Well, my favorite thing is that it's like so diverse now. Like usually there's like, they want to pinpoint a certain type of folks that's coming out here and doing this. But if you look around, it's not like that anymore because that many people are upset at this point.
What kind of results, what would be the perfect thing for actions to happen as a result of today's protest that you're looking to achieve?
Well, as a Native American, as a Native American, I've always fought for visibility just for us in general. And I think that just goes across the board for anybody that's affected at this point. Just visibility. We got to be seen and heard.
Yeah, she's going to get a lot of visibility with that hair. I mean, I think it glows. And then I saw some people waving hammer and sickle flags. I mean, what is this about, right? You know,
it's a social hour.
I get that they don't like Donald Trump. I get that. You know, 77 million people voted for him. You know, like I told somebody on Facebook, you know, I didn't vote for Biden. I complained about what he was doing, and I tried to keep it on a policy level. Right, as much as I could, because there were obviously areas where he was failing mentally, and it was just obvious to everybody who had a pair of eyes. But we endured it, right? We didn't have rallies. We didn't try to get him impeached. You know, okay, we got to endure. We got to do better. And then we got Trump. So now you people who hate him are going to have to endure him until something else comes along. So, I think it is disturbing. The next couple of videos are going to be very disturbing. And this one is a bunch of people who want to take this no kings thing to a communist level.
Tell me about communism. Why do we want communism?
Well, what we're fighting for is a new kind of world. This world that we're in right now, the problems are caused by capitalism, international capitalism, imperialism.
Yes.
And the solution is a workers' government here in the United States and a workers' government around the world.
Okay, great.
We would say
so
nationalize like the top 500 corporations, use the wealth and the technology to meet human needs.
Is Zohran Mamdani, is he far left enough for you? Because he's a socialist.
We would like him if he broke with capitalism. But unfortunately, as mayor, he's implementing the austerity that the capitalists want him to implement.
Okay,
that's
and
not a good thing.
Where has communism worked?
Communism hasn't been established yet, but what we can...
It's the only answer they can give every single time. It's never been tried. It's never been tried. It's never been tried.
Yeah, yeah.
What about like someone would say like Mao's regime or like the Soviet Union?
Well, what we would say is this, that Soviet Union and Mao's regime were not communist, but under the nationalized planned economy, even though they didn't have democracy, and we think you need democracy to establish real communism, but even though without democracy, nationalized planned economy, they industrialized those countries. They went from being very poor, backward countries to much more advanced countries.
So what would you say about like the 100 million people that died under Mao's regime?
I don't know where that number comes from.
You're just making shit up.
It's never been tried. It's like fairy tale, like kiddie cartoon stuff, you know?
I think I told you my teenage stepson said that to my wife. I think to kind of get her attention, and it got her attention because, you know, she thinks I'm a liberal. So she exploded like you've never seen before. Probably she didn't want me to tell you that. That's okay. What about the guys who want to kill the ICE agents? Because they were out too. Like that? Yeah, there you go. That's why our ICE agents have to wear masks, because you got people like that out there who are doxing them and want to go after their families, and they're just trying to enforce federal immigration law.
Right.
Yeah. Final word on this from Congressman Tim Burchett. I think I'm saying that right. Republican from Tennessee.
Y'all know what's crazy to me? Having this so-called No Kings rally when you kicked Joe Biden off, or ran him off, and then you ordained Kamala Harris without a single primary or a vote. You kicked Bobby Kennedy off. You sued to have him kicked off the dadgum ballot. And then y'all went to court, a bunch of places, tried to kick Trump off. Y'all the ones with the
head shake,
with the royalty issues, it sounds like to me. There's no kings on this side of the ocean, but the only monarchy seems to be in the Democrat Party. Just a casual observation. Thank y'all for sending me here.
Yeah. So we got rid of our king in 1776. Across the ocean, he's talking about. They do have a king over there, King Charles. Yet in London, they had a no kings rally supporting the people who hate Donald Trump in a country where they actually have a king. Yep. And we have a little video on that.
A very grainy video.
Well, it had to come across the pond.
Yeah.
So that's enough of that. But they did a lot of destruction too over there.
Yeah, it was like all over the world. They had different protests.
But they have a king there. We don't have a king. We have a president. We're a constitutional republic. The Constitution works every time that it's tried, and we're going to have a little update on what's going on at SCOTUS coming up next. First, Funhouse Pizza has been with us since the very beginning on this podcast, Jim Dingman. We do our live events at Funhouse, and we are working on scheduling something for the spring that I think you're going to like at the Lee Summit location on 50 Highway in Lee Summit. They're also on 7 Highway in Blue Springs. Fun is the name of the game there. They've got games. They got video games. They have rides at the Lee Summit location. If you got a birthday party coming up, no better place in either Lee Summit or Blue Springs to have it than Fun House Pizza. Team meeting for Little League. That's a great place for that. Birthday parties we mentioned. If you love pizza, and who doesn't love pizza? I mean, I know it's an Italian thing, but really it's an American thing. Pile those toppings high, cold drinks as well. Funhousepizza.com. You can order your pizza online, come in and get it, or dine in. I think they even do delivery. 50 Highway Lee Summit, 7 Highway Blue Springs. Tell Jim Dingman that you love the fact that he is on the podcast. Ditto for Michael Schroer. Michael is with RE/MAX Elite in Lee Summit. And you can reach him for your real estate needs at 816-373-8400. His cell phone is 816-520-9342. And his email address, michaelschroer56@gmail.com. You spell Schroer, SCHROER, and then the number 56. I'm going to Atlanta this weekend as this episode posts because my youngest son just bought his first house. I'm sure your dad is proud of you for buying your house.
I'd say congratulations.
I am proud of my son for buying his house. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go stay with him. And I always told him when he was a little kid, I'm going to come stay at your house. I want a room with my own TV, and I want you to leave me alone. So we're going to see how that works out. Whatever stage of life you're in, Michael Schroer is your guy with RE/MAX Elite in Lee Summit. If it's your first time home like my sons and like Kurt, maybe you're branching out because you're having a bunch of kids. Maybe the kids are all gone off to college. You need to go smaller. Perhaps you've got like your dream home you want to buy or a piece of property you want to build on. Michael is the man. He can sell your house and get you your next house. Reach out to Michael Schroer here as we get into spring here. You're going to see a lot of movement in the real estate business. So conversion therapy was up for discussion at the Supreme Court of the United States. As I understand it, I've read a couple of the briefs. We don't have any video or audio to play here for you on this because it comes from the Supreme Court. But, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kurt, but conversion therapy in this case in Colorado was a therapist who was talking to minors and telling them the difficulties that they might face for things that they were going through, like if they were going through gender dysphoria, if they thought they were a boy in a girl's body or vice versa, or if they thought they were gay at a young age or whatever. And this therapist was sued, defended it on First Amendment grounds, and it went all the way to SCOTUS. And the case was decided 8-1 in that therapist's favor. What does that tell you?
Yeah, I mean the whole term conversion therapy, it's like a red herring. It's a scare word that the proponents of all this gender ideology stuff use. It's like if you're not just lockstep in favor of any sort of transition for kids of any age and surgery and everything else, then it's conversion therapy. That's,
right.
I had no idea. It's literally just a counselor,
Right.
talking to you.
Right,
It's
exactly.
like, you think conversion therapy, you think that scene from like Clockwork Orange or something.
Yeah.
They're like,
You got like probes going into them. It's like, we're going to shock you out of this.
Yeah.
You won't ever think this again.
Yeah.
That's
You'll
not
never
what it
be
was.
gay if we
No.
shock and lobotomize you.
It was therapy. And there was one vote that said that we should tell all these counselors, you are, once a child has said, I'm a boy in a girl's body, or vice versa, you're not allowed to ever speak to that child. Who do you think? Did you look at the notes? Do you know who the one vote is?
No, I didn't look at the notes. I'm going to guess, what's her face? The black lady.
Ketanji Brown Jackson. Yes. She is so far off the reservation that Elena Kagan gave her grief during the arguments.
Yeah.
Gave her grief because it's like Ketanji Brown Jackson, I don't think she's ever read the Constitution. Mm-hmm. Because if she doesn't like a law, she's going to vote against it.
Yeah.
Never mind what the Constitution says. And what SCOTUS is supposed to do is look at the Constitution and review it and review cases based on what's in the Constitution. She is never going to do that.
No, she's the textbook definition of an activist judge. I mean, even in the case of some of the other liberal justices, they've been on the Supreme Court long enough that there's at least some semblance of objectivity there, but in her case, not so much.
But when Elena Kagan goes after her, and Ketanji Brown Jackson's dissent was longer than the decision, she went on and on and on.
Yeah, she does talk a lot.
And this is what happens when you're president and you're filling out appointments by DEI. This is what happens when you've given your soul to Jim Clyburn in South Carolina, and it's like Joe's like, man, I just want to be president, Jim. Can you help me be president? Yeah. Well, here's what I want. You're going to have a black female running mate, and your first Supreme Court justice will be a black female.
Right.
Never mind whether they're qualified or not. You just got to fill the gap here.
That's their qualification. That's their qualification.
Well, see Kamala Harris, female. Right? See Mayor Pete.
Yep.
He's not black, but he's gay, and that checked a box. He ran a city smaller than Independence, Missouri, right? And he was in charge of our entire transportation segment because he was really qualified. At least he wasn't a plumber. Right, Jimmy Kimmel?
Do I play the clip now?
Including his newly confirmed Secretary of Homeland Security, Mark Wayne, Chuck Mike, Bruce Dave Mullen. Maybe Mellon's better. He is the now former senator of Oklahoma. Before he was elected to the Senate, Mark Wayne Mullen was a low-level MMA fighter and a plumber. That's right. We have a plumber protecting us from terrorism now. It worked for Super Mario. Why not Mark Wayne? But honestly, I mean, if Trump is going to keep picking these unqualified people to run the department, why not have more fun with it? I mean, next time, instead of Mark Wayne, how about Little Wayne for Homeland Security?
Yeah. No,
that's kind of funny, the Little Wayne bit.
Yeah, the Little Wayne thing was kind of funny. But he got a lot of backlash on this, and he tried to clean it up. So that's the next video.
The president and his pals in the MAGA media are not happy with me right now. Trump even called into Fox to complain about me tonight. His Apple polishers are all in a tizzy because I made light of the fact that his new head of Homeland Security, Mark Wayne Mullen, before he was a senator, was a plumber, and now he's the head of Homeland Security, which is not necessarily the kind of resume you might hope for the person in charge of protecting us from terrorism. Of course, they decided to twist that to say it was an insult to plumbers, which it was not. I wouldn't put a plumber in charge of Homeland Security for the same reason I wouldn't call a five-star general to pull a rat out of my toilet, okay?
For the same reason, we don't trust you on anything political. Yeah. You're a crappy, failed, well, not failed. He's obviously doing very well, but you're a not funny late-night comedian.
He's not funny at all.
We don't take your opinion on anything seriously.
Where was he when Pete Buttigieg got made transportation secretary? I know he's gay. That checked a box. If I can say that. But
yeah, well, even AOC, we talked about AOC last week. I mean, she was a bartender,
Yeah.
And not that there's anything wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Per se, but they celebrate her, so.
But when you look into Mark Wayne Mullen's background, he has an MBA. He's not a plumber. His family owned a plumbing business. What I've read about him is his father was in failing health, so he stepped in to run the businesses. right? So he's a businessman, an MBA.
Yeah, and people that run plumbing businesses are like very successful entrepreneurs that make a lot of money. You know, like they're serious people.
I'm a serious candidate for Jackson County Legislature, and I play George Strait records for a living because I'm conservative. Would Jimmy Kimmel make fun of me? You know, if we wanted him to DJ a wedding, I mean, that's good right here. But do we want him making policy and law? I don't think so. Laugh track. Yeah, still not funny.
Also, according to his Wikipedia here, Mark Wayne Mullen is a member of the Cherokee Nation. So maybe he should. Whoa. Yeah, maybe he should clap back on Jimmy Kimmel with that. You don't want to support a Cherokee Indian?
Yeah. The other case that they're talking about, there's been no decision about it yet, is birthright citizenship. President Trump became the first president ever to attend a Supreme Court session. He watched from the gallery. But we've talked about that issue before. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. The 14th Amendment to the Constitution was put in place because we were coming out of the Civil War. Our country was changing away from a model where we imported Africans to be slaves, particularly in the South, and they had kids who were born here. They were not citizens. They were captives, for God's sake. They were taken out of their home country, out of their home continent, and brought here to serve, especially in the South. Well, after the Civil War, you had a situation where you have all these people who aren't technically citizens, so the 14th Amendment to the Constitution went in to make them citizens, to make their children citizens. And the bastardization of that amendment over the course of decades basically got to the point where if you can get your pregnant wife or girlfriend or whatever to American soil, they squat and have the baby is a citizen. And that's wrong. That was not the way it was drawn up. And I don't know how this is going to go, because for decades, literally decades, we have acknowledged anybody who can get here and have a baby, that baby is a citizen. And again, that's not the way it was drawn up. And it depends whether you're a letter of the law constitutionalist or whether you believe the thing expands and stretches and can twist like a pretzel.
Yeah. Can I read one more thing on this plumbing thing?
Oh, yeah.
So this is again from Wikipedia, so I'm just assuming it's accuracy. Mark Wayne Mullen, business. In 1997, Mullen assumed control of his family's plumbing business, Mullen Plumbing. The business had 6 employees at the time. His wife, Christy, post-parenthood agreed to assist Mullen. By July 2011, Mullen Plumbing had become Oklahoma's largest plumbing service company. Mullen also owned Mullen Environmental, Mullen Services, and Mullen Properties and ranches in Adair and Wagoner counties. According to the Oklahoman, he owned 8 businesses by July 2013. In 2021, he sold to a private equity firm based in Dallas. So he's a plumber that owns the largest plumbing company in Oklahoma. It's like... The downplaying is insane.
And Jimmy Kimmel, still not funny.
Yeah.
What's not funny after all these storms that have gone through is the condition of your roof. I mean, if you see like brown spots on the ceiling or whatever, you know that you've got a problem. You got hailstorms coming through, lightning and all that. Let's get on your roof and let's examine it. Get my roofer on your roof. Austin Watterson, Royal Roofing and Solar. 816-540-7057. They've got Tamco now. That's the roofing that they have with Hail Guard. It is beyond Class 4. This is going to be the best roof you ever put on your house. And we had Austin on last week. If you haven't seen that episode of the podcast, he hit the thing with a hammer. He hit it so hard that the noise gate came on and it looked like it was a silent movie. But he was hitting it with his hammer. And that hammer is going to do a lot more damage than any hailstorm is going to do. Austin did the roof on my house. I trust him. I trust his family. And I know that if I ever have an issue with that roof, which I'm not going to, I'm going to call Austin and get his people back up on the roof. He works with insurance companies. After we have a hailstorm, roofers go door to door in neighborhoods and they're like, hey, let me look at your roof. I can get you a free roof with the insurance company. That gig is up. That game does not work anymore. What Austin can do is get you the right roof, and the payment on your roof is going to offset the reduction you're going to get in your homeowner's insurance. And you'll get peace of mind and it will add value to your home. roofedbyroyal.com. Austin Watterson, 816-540-7057. And the happiest guy there is going to be Bob Watson, because Bob is going to gladly reduce your homeowner's rate when you get that brand new roof from Tamco that is beyond Class 4 for hail. Call Bob and get a rate quote. Bundle your home and car insurance. You'll save even more. 816-229-7878. Auto, home, life, commercial insurance, boats. The pontoons will be out before you know it. Bobby is licensed in Missouri and Kansas. He's been my State Farm insurance agent for 31 years. He's been a State Farm agent for more than 50. Get a rate quote from Bob, and you'll be shocked at how much you're going to save when you bundle your home and car insurance. Okay, so we bring you to this. We always like to do something kind of funny at the end. I had something picked out that was going to be bagging on Brian Stelter. I'll hold on to that because I think that's evergreen. This was just funny. Tim Pardee, one of my dear friends, sent me this. You've seen these videos where it's like Trump and Kamala and their babies, but they've got the voices and all that. This one I thought was particularly funny because it ties into the podcast.
Kamala, is that you in my hotel lobby? This is very unexpected and a little sad, but mostly unexpected.
I am here because I am here, and being here is something that happens when you arrive at a place, which I have done today at this location.
That's not an answer. That's a GPS having a stroke.
I was simply passing through on my way to what I would say is a series of important meetings about the future of the future and what it means going forward in terms of forward movement.
You lost by a lot, Kamala, and now you're in my lobby, which means deep down you're a fan, and I respect that. It takes courage to visit the Winners Building.
I did not lose by a lot. The margins were, and I think this is important, the margins were a reflection of the broader landscape of
losing. The word is losing. Very simple. 2 syllables. Even Biden gets that one right, which isn't saying much.
I have to go now. I have a podcast.
Of course you do. Everybody who loses gets a podcast. It's like a participation trophy with a microphone.
Well, we have microphones.
Yep.
Do you feel like this is a participation trophy
having
to work with me?
I don't know. Are we losers?
I don't know. We'll find out for me in November. And until next week, we'll have a whole bunch more stuff to tell you about. This is Dale Carter's America.
The views expressed on Dale Carter's America are Dale's and Kurt Wheeler's. They do not necessarily reflect the views of KFKF or Steel City Media. Comments can be sent to dalecartersamerica@gmail.com. Check back for weekly episodes. Subscribe, spread the word, and give us a 5-star review. Thanks for being a part of Dale Carter's America.